Be strong in your heart and mind. This is Sydney's advice for whoever wishes to become a professional basketball player. Sydney tells us his story from his early days at Princeton University to his professional years in Italy and the life lessons learned playing sport. Sydney, first of all, welcome to my show. And now tell me, what studies did you do?
Yeah, well, in high school in the States, you normally they kind of give everybody the same types of classes. So you have your English where you work on grammar, how to put sentences and words together. You work on vocabulary, writing, reading. Then you have the different math classes, the different history, the different science. So all of those are the classes that everybody takes from early in their life until high school, and you start to think about the classes that you like the most, and those are the ones that you probably try to take if you go to college, university in the States.
Okay. And so what did you pick?
So I picked history. My father is a retired history professor.
Okay.
So for all of my life, he would have books in the house, everywhere in the house, and they were always kind of history books, African history, U.S. history, and so it was just so interesting for me. And so I said, I want to study that more when I get to college.
Okay. And so that was your major. And then how does it work in the United States with sports?
Yeah, so it's very interesting. They're separate. So you might have an interest in history like I did. You might want to be a doctor, a lawyer. That is your academic profile. And then if you are a very strong athlete or player in your sport, the coaches of universities, they look at you, they evaluate you, they give you a grade, they rank you in terms of how much they think you are, how strong you are as a player. And then if they think you're strong enough for their team, then they go to your academic profile and make sure that you have good grades, good marks. And if you have the both, then you're able to be offered a scholarship at a university, and then go to that school, hopefully for free. They'll give full scholarships for basketball in the NCAA and Division I. Now, I went to Princeton University, which we can talk about a bit more. And Princeton University is part of the Ivy League. And what is interesting about the Ivy League is, one, it's very, very, very strong academically. So all of the students have to have very strong grades in all of the different classes. But they also don't give scholarships. They have a special policy where they don't give scholarships. They will give the families grants or loans to help pay for the school, but they believe that every student who goes to the university should pay at least some small amount. And so that was the sacrifice that my family made for me to attend Princeton University.
Okay. So in percentage, how much percentage did your parents have to put in?
I was fortunate in the sense that my dad raised me and my two older brothers. So we didn't have a lot of money. And for going to Princeton, that was a good thing, because the university understood, okay, they don't have a lot of money. We'll give them as much of the loans as we can. So I was able to go to university for a reasonable amount, but not everybody can do that. Not everybody can make that sacrifice. And so, it's a blessing that there are full scholarships to go to other great universities across the country in America.
I see. So the university was it 4 years, 4 years?
4 years is the normal term, the normal length of time that somebody will go. Sometimes 5, and maybe a small percentage 6. But to play college athletics, you're only allowed to participate for 4 years. And so mostly people try to graduate and finish their studies in the 4-year time.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So you had like a full time. You had to study and complete your studies, and at the same time play and train.
It was like having almost like having a full-time job. Yeah. I mean, for sure, had to study and stay up late, and then yeah, practice every day, and training and competition games, and travel away from the university at times. So yeah, it felt like a full-time job at times.
And what happened at the end of the 4 years?
So I graduated, thankfully. I earned my degree, and I wanted to continue to play professional basketball.
Okay.
That was in my mind during my entire last year of college. And I knew I had an idea that I wasn't strong enough as a player to be an NBA player. I had played against other players in college who were very, very, very good. And even for them, it was a challenge to arrive to the NBA. So I said, okay, maybe if I'm not NBA, I can play in Europe. My father did that many years ago. He played in France and Spain. And so I contacted some agents who they know the teams in Europe, they know the players in America, and they try to connect the two. And I went through that process after I was finished playing for Princeton University, and eventually landed in Italy in my first year out of college.
I see. Oh, right away.
Yeah, yeah, it was terrific. I just packed up some of my belongings, bought a ticket, and off I was in Italy all by myself, fresh out of college, ready to play pro basketball.
Oh, wow. And how many years did you play pro?
I played 7 years total. I played 5 years in Italy in different towns. And then my last 2 years, I played in Spain. And then I eventually returned home and started a new career, but 7 full years overseas.
Okay. It seems that, well, at least in the United States, it's very driven by the academic world. Do you know how it works in other countries? Let's say in the European continent, so if somebody wants to become a basketball player, does he have a chance, or she have a chance to, through the academic background, the academic path in Europe, or are there other ways?
It's very interesting. So in Europe, they don't connect the academic with the athletic. And it's an interesting thing. So in Europe, young men and women who arrive maybe 15, 16 years of age, they will be a good athlete, say a good basketball player. And the professional team in the area, it could be a big club or it could be a small club. If they believe this player can grow to be a professional, they'll sign a contract with them at 15, 16 years old to be a junior player, is what they call it. And this junior player will train with the senior team, the older players. Maybe they'll go to a high school for the junior players, but they also start to receive money and maybe a place to stay that makes it easy to arrive to practice. And at some point, they stop going to academic school and they really just pursue a professional career for their entire time. In America, we keep the academic and athletic together. And so the major way to arrive to be a professional player is through the college system, where you continue to be a student, like I mentioned, but you also play college NCAA athletics, basketball, football, baseball, and you try to do both. You graduate and then you try to become a professional. So in Europe, they start the professional process much earlier, and you stop, basically you stop trying to be a student, or maybe you try to do that later on in your life when you're older.
Yeah, I see. And so all the NBA players, they also go through that same process in the United States. They go through the college years, and then they get picked to get to, or they try to become pro from their academic years.
Yeah, so you're asking great questions, and yes, that's all of the NBA players, the American ones. Most of them have gone to a college. Now, maybe when they're very, very, very good, and this has been happening more in the last 10 to 15 years, they will go to the NBA before the end of their 4 years in college because they're so strong of a player that the NBA teams will tell their family or tell the player at some point, listen, if you finish your university now, we will sign a contract with you. And so many players will do this. The best players in the world from America, they'll go to college for 1 year, maybe 2 years, and then they'll go to the NBA. There are more players from Europe coming to the NBA.
Yeah.
And NBA players or NBA teams are scouting people from all over the world, Africa, Europe. So there's different ways to arrive to the NBA, but mostly American players, they play 4 years of college and then they try to arrive to the NBA, or they'll go play overseas if they're strong enough as a player.
In your everyday life when you were a basketball player, what did your day look like?
When I was a professional, I really had 2 practices a day. I would have a morning training anywhere from say 10 o'clock to around lunchtime. So about 2 hours. We would work on our technical skills. We would work on strength and conditioning, and we would be finished for the morning. I would go and get a lunch, relax some, maybe even take a nap. And then in the evening, we always had a team practice. And that would be maybe we start around 5 o'clock and we go till 7:30, and then we're finished. And I would do that about four or 5 times a week. And then every week we would have a competition. We would have a game on either Saturday or Sunday. And then we would have one off day. So if we played Saturday, we would have Sunday off. If we played Sunday, we would have Monday off. And then we just repeat the schedule again, week after week after week.
For which teams did you play in Italy?
I played for Gorizia. It's a small town, near Trieste, near Venice.
Yeah.
I played in Milan. I played in Siena. I played in Reggio Calabria.
All over.
Yeah, all over. And my favorite was Avellino. I played in Avellino for 2 years, and it was near Naples. And it was a wonderful time for me, and great teammates and a fantastic coach. But all of my years, in Italy, playing basketball as a professional and traveling the country and meeting people and the food and the people. Yeah, it was just, it was a dream come true for me.
Awesome. I'm happy because it's my country. So very proud about that. Is the fact, when you say you have to be tall in order to be a good player, is that a myth or is that true?
It's a myth. I think if you are determined, I think your heart and your mind has to be the strongest to be anything that you want to be. And you can overcome being a smaller player if you have a strong heart and a strong determination. But being taller helps because, the basket, I'm speaking in feet, it's 10 feet tall, it's 10 feet high. And so, the closer you are to being able to make, different shots, height helps in basketball. But it is certainly not the only thing. And there are some of the best players I played against, and some of the players who were stronger than me and made me worried and nervous from the other team were smaller than me. So it's really about your heart and your determination, how much you work and how much you stay tough in your mind. These are some of the things that make you a professional player more than say how tall you are.
Yeah. And I'm thinking about, other skills that you would have to have in order to be a good player. What would you say are like maybe the top 2 or 3 for you?
You have to be mentally tough. You have to be confident in yourself and your training and your ability to fight and to come back from adversity. You professional players are strong in their minds. They're never perfect, but they look at the mistake and they move to the next thing. And then They just because they believe in themselves. And so I think mental toughness for a professional athlete is an absolute you must have. I also think that you have to be very smart, and it's not always the smarts of, say, giving a big speech or writing a book, but all of these athletes in every sport, they are able to learn quickly. They are able to watch a situation, watch what the coach wants, watch what the other team is trying to do to stop them. All of these things they can see, and they find solutions quick and fast.
I see.
And they're always looking for these solutions. And so I think you have to be smart in your mind in a way to figure out how to win the game. And I also think that is a great skill for a professional athlete.
Because when you say adversity and, fighting, being able to be strong, what kind of adversities would you encounter?
Well, you want to win, and you want to be the best player on the best and have the best team every time. I mean, that is also part of wanting to be a professional. And sometimes that doesn't happen. And so how do you deal with disappointment? How do you deal with losing? You must recover fast. You can't put your head down. You can't feel sorry for yourself. Things, because then another team, another player is passing you. So that's the type of adversity. Sometimes a coach is not thinking that you're the strongest player, and so you don't play a lot. And do you stay strong? Do you continue to train? Do you try to keep your skills strong? Do you try to prove the coach wrong and earn his trust? That's adversity. For me, I was away from my home. I was thousands of miles away from America. Do I feel homesick? Am I, wishing my family? Do I want McDonald's instead of,
A nice
spaghetti
pizza.
carbonara? Yeah, or a nice pizza, these things. And so there's so many things that there's a lot of adversity that challenges you to keep a strong mind. And when you do, then a lot of those things that I mentioned, they usually work out okay. But if you don't keep a strong mind, then some of those things, some of that adversity, it wins, and you don't perform well. You don't play your best.
You get overwhelmed. And these are also great lessons in life in general, how to be
For
tough and
sure. For sure.
how to accept defeat as well, which is really important. We don't always win in life in general. So maybe everybody should play for 1 year in their lives before they find a job like in front of a laptop or something.
Laura, I can tell you in America, sports is very big. Americans, we're a little crazy on many things, but some of the love and passion for sports comes from what you just said. I think many Americans believe that even if you don't arrive to become a professional athlete, that there are certain skills that you learn in sports, just exactly as you said, that will help you for your life.
Yeah.
And so many people really believe that you should try to be even a high school athlete, and if you're lucky, a college athlete, and also for many girls and women, just as much as for boys and men, is to learn these lessons and to find confidence and strength and intelligence and just good feelings about yourself. A lot of that can come from sports, and that's why Americans, there's a very strong sports culture in this country.
Yes, for sure. If I look at your time that you played, you said you played for 7 years.
Yes.
What is an average time span of being active professional basketball player?
That's a hard question. For me, I actually could have played a few more years. but I wanted to return home. I wanted to start another career. I probably could have played for sure 8, 9, maybe 10 years.
Okay.
But it ranges. I think if you really stay committed, I would say 5 to 10 years is something that is possible for someone who is serious and is committed and stays away from injury, which is another, I should mention, that's another part of adversity that you can face, is when you love your basketball so much and you hurt your knee and you have to take time away. Again, you have to stay strong. But I would say 5 to 10 years is maybe possible. Again, if you stay tough mentally and you stay healthy.
Yeah, it's interesting because for football, it's actually pretty much double that time. So that's very interesting. And when you finished, so you decided to go back, what did you do next?
I went right into coaching. Went right into college coaching. Yeah, I had an offer from one of my former coaches in college. He took a new job, and he wanted to, build his staff, and he needed like a younger coach. And so he reached out to me, and I actually chose to do that instead of continuing. Like I said, I probably could have played 2 or 3 more years, but I knew I wanted to coach. And I said, let me try to take this opportunity. And I'm very happy that I did.
Ah, good. And that's what you're keeping doing?
Yeah. So right now, I do TV analysis for college basketball. So these are, there's so many games on television in America, and the major networks. I've worked for ESPN. This year I worked for CBS and for NBC Sports. And I've taken a break away from college coaching, but I've been in college coaching for over 15 years. When it starts from being an assistant coach to a head coach, it's been a long time, and I just love it. I just love basketball, and I love coaching, and I also love talking about basketball, which is why I do some TV work as well.
I see. Okay. What do you think you have learned over the years that makes you think I would like to change? I wish I had done this or that differently when I was in the early stages.
I think maybe nothing, but maybe also what I said. As an athlete, there are some times where you get down. You just feel sad. You feel like this situation, this team, this coach, this style of play, something like this is not the best for me, and I need a change or something like that. And I think I had a couple of those times in my career, and I think, Laura, that I wasn't my best. I wasn't performing my strongest when I had those times. And when I could talk to my wife or my friends or somebody help me say, hey, stay strong, stay positive, keep working, work on yourself. If you're not playing so much in the games, if you're playing in the games and you're not playing so well, work extra, work more. When I arrived to those moments, like I said earlier, things always worked out best. So I guess I would just say, even for me, looking back, there were some times where I went down, and it was just so important to come back up mentally. But I learned from those, and so that's why it's almost saying nothing. If I didn't have those times, maybe I don't learn the lesson that I just shared. And that's why I tell people all the time, basketball has given me so many good things, and that's one of them. It's just a life lesson to keep believing and keep working, because something good will come if you keep fighting.
Great. That's well said. If you look back at your years in the basketball field and playing, what did you enjoy most about those years?
Without question, is the relationships with the players and the coaches. There's nothing better. You spend so much time, maybe more time with your team sometimes, or the coaches, than your family, or equal. And so you become like a second family, and you laugh and you joke and you fight together and you lose together and you win together. And these moments, there are teammates that I have for sure from Italy. As I mentioned, Avellino was my favorite place that I played. There are teammates that I remember like brothers. If we phone or we texted or we walked down the street and we saw each other, we would hug each other right away and say, "Oh my," and that, I think, is like it's incredible. I've said this before to people, is, for me, winning is never enough. What I mean is, like, if I just win a championship, but I don't have the relationships, the laughing, the joking, the losing, the winning together, then it's empty. But when you win a championship or you win a big game and you do it with people that you really come to care about, then you remember it for life. And that's what I would say is the number one. Number two is far, far behind. Number one is the relationships and the memories that I have with players and coaches that I worked with.
What would you say to someone, like a young man who would like to be like you, become a professional basketball player, and maybe still studying, and he's playing some basketball? What is your best advice to him?
My best advice is maybe two things. Make sure that you love to play, that you have joy playing the game, and that even if you lose, you still want to play the next day. And even if you win, you still have a hunger to keep winning and play again the next day. You really have to enjoy the game, because it's not always going to go well. But if you love the game, then, I just think it will take you far. And then you have to work. There's so many, there's NBA Africa now, there's in America, we now have, there's the NBA, and then there's something called the G League. It's like another league right underneath the NBA. Then there's so many great teams in Europe and Russia and Asia. And so many people want to play, that you really have to train hard and work on your skills. So love the game for the right reasons, just for the joy of it, and then work hard to get better. And for sure, the game will give you some kind of reward.
And satisfaction.
Exactly.
Sidney, it's been a pleasure. Thanks so much for talking to me. And I'm so happy that your brother made the connection. And I wish you all the best for the next decades of your career, that I'm sure will be somehow always linked to basketball.
Yes, I certainly hope so. I mean, I love it so much, and
I can tell that you love it so much.
Yeah, it's been great. But Lara, this was fun for me, and it is honestly a privilege and honor to join you, and happy to do so. So thank you for your questions and your time, and I wish you all the best.
Do you want to share your own professional experience and the lessons learned with the younger generation? Then write me at jobtalespodcast@gmail.com.